Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about one of the strangest alternative healthcare practices to raise testosterone naturally, and that is perineum sunning. Allegedly, perineum sunning has roots in the ancient Chinese philosophy of Taoism. Now, if we look beyond Taoism to the science to see where this myth first began, we can track it down back to a paper published in 1939 by the Endocrine Society. This study was titled Influence of Ultraviolet Irradiation Upon Excretion of Sex Hormones in the Male. Now, before we dive into the specifics of this study, I want to remind you that this study is the backbone behind the practice of perineum sunning.
This study is so bad, dude.
So first and foremost, this study was done in a psychiatric ward in a Boston hospital. There was only 5 subjects in this study, and all 5 subjects suffered from depression. Essentially, what researchers did is use an ultraviolet lamp to irradiate the genitals of all 5 subjects, and what they found was a 200% increase in the production of androsterone. After ceasing UV exposure to the patient's genitals, they found that the androsterone levels returned to baseline after about 10 days. All in all, kind of a weird study. Let's talk about what I think is wrong with it and why we shouldn't extrapolate from this study. Obviously, the most glaring issue is that the sample size is 5 subjects, which you can't really draw any concrete conclusions from. Second, the researchers measured the level of androsterone, not the level of testosterone in the subjects. Although this does seem like a minor detail, it's an important one because androsterone is actually a metabolic byproduct of testosterone found in the urine. It's not a direct measure of testosterone itself. For that, we would need to take a serum level. Third, there was no control group and no randomization. And this is important because we don't have a baseline to compare the effects of UV radiation to. This is also particularly important in this study because all the subjects suffered from depression, and we know that depression negatively impacts total serum testosterone levels compared to those who do not have depression. The last issue with this study is an issue that plagues a lot of different types of research, and that's that there's no replicated study for this one, meaning that this study is basically one of a kind. In science, one of a kind is not good. One of a kind is very, very bad. Now, there's not a whole lot that we can glean from this study, but what we shouldn't do is throw away the idea that getting more UV exposure increases the amount of total serum testosterone. In fact, some studies do show that supplementing with vitamin D does increase the overall level of serum testosterone. There's just probably no benefit if you happen to be tanning your private parts. Perineum sunning actually used to be pretty obscure. That is until a recent episode of Tucker Carlson. This study right here showed that after an episode of Tucker Carlson aired, the Google results for perineum sunning skyrocketed. The exact amount that perineum sunning searches increased by was 7,252%. All the clamoring around perineum sunning was further worsened by the mention of the practice by popular influencer and actor Josh Brolin. So to summarize, there's not a whole lot of data. In fact, there's not any data really to support the use of perineum sunning over just getting basic UV exposure for the production of testosterone. What makes matters worse is that perineum sunning might actually be damaging. As fate would have it, it turns out that tanning your testicles might be bad for your spermatocytes and your semen production. Studies like this one show that the increases in ambient temperature are bad for sperm production and semen production, and the reason is because increases in heat might denature the proteins that are associated with sperm motility. All this said, the next time that you're thinking about going outside and getting some sun, leave your testicles out of it.